Good afternoon, all participants. We will start our afternoon sessions. AI platform, a case study by Mr. Suresh Chakarwa, Director AI Labs. I request now Amruta ma'am to introduce Suresh sir.
Good afternoon all. Welcome one and all in the today's third session of the FDP Signal, Image and Video Processing a Practical Approach 2020. We have Suresh Sakarwal sir as a speaker for today's session. He has over 33 years of rich experience in AI, IT, engineering and academics with strong business analytical skills, business processing knowledge and project management skill, client relationship skill and leadership qualities. Suresh sir graduated in the mechanical engineering from Government College of Engineering, Aurangabad. Currently, he is working in the role of Director AI Labs at Finality Sciences as a US-based startup working in the field of big data, cognitive computing, and artificial intelligence. As a Director AI Labs, he heads the global operations of AI consulting vertical. Earlier, he was in the role of Executive Vice President and Head of Products and was responsible for product roadmap, product management, product engineering, and the global business support. He led a team of techniques to create many products under the umbrella of their flagship products. His academic experience, he worked as a lecturer and then senior lecturer with the Mechanical Engineering Department at JNEC Aurangabad for 16 years. Contributed in establishment Computer Science Department at JNEC. He has published a few research papers and a book on Pascal programming. Sir had industrial experience prior to the Fidelity Sciences. Before that, he was working with Tata Motors, worked as a trainee engineer for 1 year as a project fund. NHK Springs manager systems for around 3 years at Aurangabad. Ramco Systems worked as a regional manager, implementation and support at Mumbai. He is responsible for the account management, program management, project delivery, customer management, channel partner coordination for on-premises and on-cloud ERP projects and client from Western region and services vertical in India. He was a part of Product Council and contributed in establishing implementation methodologies for on-cloud ERP. Thank you very much, sir. I request Suresh sir to start the session. Sir, please.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So, good afternoon, all the participants, officers, and it's my pleasure to be amongst you. So, I feel like homecoming when I am interacting with my fellow faculties from various engineering institutes. At the outset, I thank the organizers for providing me this opportunity, and today we will discuss in context with this subject of this faculty development program. We will discuss few case studies with reference to AI processing or artificial intelligence applications in video processing and image processing. So, to begin with, I will introduce my organization. So, I hope my screen is visible and I am audible to all.
Yeah, you are visible, your screen is also visible.
Thank you. So, a brief introduction about my organization, Findability Sciences. We started this organization 10 years back as a startup, and we still today we treat it as and we work as a startup. With that kind of agility, we operate. It started in Boston, and then we started in other countries. Then we started in India. So, in 2007, SoftBank from Japan invested in us, and then we formed a joint venture with SoftBank in Japan with the name as Fundability Sciences KK. We are a IBM partner company, and we have been part of the advisory board of IBM Watson. We have invested in some Silicon Valley company named Workton, which works or which has developed technology. We have been collaboratively developing it on the work heuristic process automation platform. So the applications are something people call it as RPA, but it is something different than the conventional RPA. It is heuristic in nature. Then Qlytics is our portfolio company, where Qlytics AI India Private Limited is a joint venture company where Fundability Sciences is the majority stakeholder. And we work out of Boston, Toronto, Tokyo, Mumbai, and Aurangabad. So, coming to the platform, our Fundability platform is AI platform that we have developed, and this platform has various layers called big data layer, cognition layer, and prediction layer. Then this I will explain you in brief about the different features of this platform. Like one component that is a prediction layer of this platform, it is called as supervised machine learning layer of Fundability platform. So in this layer, we have different components and different capabilities. So automated multi-model classifier is one of the capabilities. Automated multi-model estimation, multi-algorithm forecasting, including automated multi-model forecast plus ARIMA, TBATS, BATS, Prophet, MLP, ETS, REG, ARIMA, NATR, LSTM, STLM, FASTER, GARCH. All these algorithms are included in that multi-algorithm forecast. Now the philosophy of this layer is like it should be usable by citizen data scientists. One who understands his data from business perspective, not from technology perspective, and one who understands nothing other than business, who cannot code, who cannot create a program. He can just understand the data and the output of the data. So the philosophy here is it should be automated so that a citizen data scientist can use it without creating any coding. So no coding is required. So he has to put the data and get the output. No human intervention, no human bias, no human fine tuning of the models and adding his own bias into that. So nothing of that sort is happening because it is totally automated. Now the concept of multi-model is something unique with us. All over the world, people create models with assumption as the entire data set represents a single monolithic model, or assuming that the entire data set is behaving in a single manner or a single pattern, representing a single pattern. But the reality is different. The entire data set consists of multiple patterns. It is not monolithic data. So people ignore that and they work on averages so that it is kind of a compromising on the individuality of the various patterns within the data set. So if we recognize that, and we have developed a proprietary technology wherein we identify all those patterns which are available in that data set, and we create models for all those data sets, all those patterns, and where the models are statistically viable and we can validate them. So it creates multiple models from the data set. Now the question is, how do you use them? When a new record comes for prediction, how do you identify? That is the big challenge. How do you identify which of these models has to be applied to that? So we have cracked that problem also, and our platform identifies which model is the best model for each record in the prediction set and uses that specific model. So what happens is, because of this, the individuality of the models or individuality of the patterns within the data is identified, recognized, and utilized. That gives a better accuracy in the prediction. So the automated multimodal classifier, where it works on Bayesian statistics, and it uses Markov chains, decision trees, and various other technologies. Whereas automated multimodal estimation uses neural nets and decision trees. And multi-algorithm, there are different algorithms are there which it uses. So in multi-algorithm forecasting, there are two ways it can be used. It can be used by citizen data scientists who doesn't know anything about coding, who doesn't know anything about data science or statistics, but who understands business. And also, it can be used by those people or data scientists who understand the data, who understand the coding, who understand the parameters, what is the impact of the value of each parameter, and how he can fine tune that thing and arrive at a better model. So, but that data scientist also does not need to create his programs. So he also doesn't need to create coding. He can use the platform to fine tune the parameters and arrive at a better model. So the idea is there should not be any coding required for creating models. So this is about supervised machine learning component within fundamental. The second is related to unstructured data processing. So here there are different components, like text analysis component is there, where text processing, digital body language, persona, and summarization are few of the components within that. So summarization is unsupervised learning, otherwise all others are supervised learnings. They use cognitive features from the data, and then based on that it gives the predictions for the use cases. Another is computer vision, which we are going to discuss in detail today. In that, TouchUp is an application which uses image processing, and Cubic Vision is another application which within the platform which uses video processing. So these two we are going to discuss in detail today. And the conversational AI is there, wherein chatbot, voice bot, email bot, all that stuff is there. So this is the unstructured data processing layer within, which is a cognition layer within the fundamental platform. Now, these technologies are available, but when an enterprise has to go through its life cycle of AI projects, it needs more things than technology. So what are these things? Like, first is the project management capability. So there should be capability of managing project as the AI life cycle goes through its life cycle through its different phases. The project management becomes very important so that you can create that project and you can bring it to the fruition. Okay. Then another thing you need for enterprises for creating AI applications and continuing its AI journey, they need computing power. And that computing power should be on-demand computing power. So that whenever you need more servers, you will have more servers. Whenever you don't need them, you can discard them. So that kind of elasticity you should have. So cloud computing power you should have at your disposal, and you should be able to manage the usage of these cloud resources. Third is the algorithms and applications and APIs to process the data and create the models and create the predictions when the models are deployed in the production. Then do the predictions and use it within the and integrate it with the workflow of the business process. And you need data. For this data, you need internal data which is coming through your transactional systems like ERPs and CRMs and all other transactional systems on which you are managing your operations. Plus, you may need external data also, like maybe census data, temperature data, weather data, traffic data. It could be different data or prices at London Metal Exchange or exchange rates. The examples could be enormous. So many of data elements which are not internally generated, but your business is getting impacted by all these. So this data, you may need some internal data elements, some external data elements. So that is also important for the execution of an AI project. And most important is the talent. The people to use the data, the algorithms, the computing power, and perform and complete the project. So a team is required. This team may be available internally, may not be available internally. Then you may able to augment them from externally available talent hub. So people, data, algorithms, computing power, and to orchestrate all these, a project management tool, all these things are required for creating an AI platform, enterprise AI platform. So that is Findability Equalytics platform that we have created, which has all these features. Now this Findability Equalytics platform and the Findability platform's cognition and prediction layers, how they interact with each other and how they work together. So this is the unstructured data processing environment wherein text, image, video, these things are processed and handled. So you have this AI development environment where all these 5 elements of the AI lifecycle are managed. On top of that, you have this Findability platform's cognition layer, and then this cloud computing interacts with AWS. These APIs interact with third-party open source also. Data acquisition can happen from internal, external sources, and structured and unstructured data can be incorporated, and you can form a team. Few of them could be internal resources, few of them could be external resources, and then you can take ahead the cognitive project consisting of text analytics or video processing. Then the supervised machine learning environment, again in the same manner, it will have those 2 layers of AI development environment and the prediction layer of Findability platform. They will interact with each other, and the capabilities of the algorithms in the top layer will be used, and the other features, other elements which are required for the execution of AI project, those are available in the Findability Equalytics platform. So this collaboration of these two makes it a complete platform wherein all aspects of AI project, including data, algorithms, technology, people, computing power, elasticity, project management, forming a team, augmenting the resources, everything can be handled and managed very easily. So we can see now one example, one case study of video processing. In the QDeep Vision is the technology within this platform, and this QDeep Vision technology can analyze and process the videos, and what are the features of that? Like QDeep Vision is a deep learning based video processing technology. Okay, it has got pre-trained models. So it has got around 14 pre-trained models which you can use, anybody can use easily, so that people can save time, money, effort on training of the networks. Then if there is a, when you are processing using one of the models, you can decide which objects within that you want and which objects you don't want. Like suppose you have a model wherein it's a traffic model, wherein the cars, buses, trucks, bikes, bicycles, which are traveling on that road, you can identify which is bus, which is truck, which is car, And in that, suppose you want to process and identify only trucks or only buses or only buses and trucks, but you don't want bikes, you don't want bicycles, cars. So you can select that and it will process accordingly and it will give only those objects. Then it is capable of processing streaming video also. So it can receive that streaming video, it can process the streaming video and it can give the output. Basically what it does is object detection. It detects the objects which are available within the video. It connects them across various frames and it identifies them, and for one specific object what is the journey within the entire video that can be recognized. It has API layer for integration so that this can be integrated with any business process flow, so that that business process flow can use this, and I mean in an integrated way the business process gets completed. Then it is capable of firing event-based trigger. So like suppose if you set a trigger like whenever a truck is identified, fire a trigger. Like suppose the use case is on a specific street after say 9 a.m. in the morning, trucks are not allowed. So what can happen is the video of that road can be streamed and that live stream can be fed to the platform. The platform can understand it can recognize the trucks and buses and cars and everything. So whenever it identifies that there is a truck which has arrived on the street, that means whenever it identifies that there is a truck, immediately it can fire a trigger, and that trigger may be used by the traffic police to regulate the traffic or to govern the traffic. So these are various features of QTIP vision application. So here, this is an example of visual output of that. Like every object in the frame, it is identified whether it is a bus, whether it is a car, whether it is a bike. Okay, and then bounding boxes are put around the object. The labels, whether it is a car, whether it is a bus, and what is the confidence score, what confidence level this object has been recognized, that is also mentioned as a visual output. This platform also gives you results in the form of inventory. So frame by frame basis, it gives you how many bicycles are there, in case this is for traffic model. So whatever is the model, in that whatever objects want to recognize, or all those inventory frame by frame it gives, and that is a timestamp synchronized. Then it provides you logs, wherein timestamp synchronized logs, it shows inventory, it shows the timestamp, it shows the inventory, and for various timestamps right from beginning to end, you can find in this log, right? So these different outputs it provides you. Now I will show you this QTIP vision application. Now this is Findability QTIX platform. So in this platform, there are projects, there are members, there is related to data, compute resources, tools, project management with Jira, and project communication with Slack. So all these aspects of project management, they are covered. Now I will just show you some details of this. Like, okay, so you can see here projects. Then you can have a talent hub. So here you can have external talent hub and internal talent. So these are the people who are externally available. So you can connect with them. You can, like suppose, you can see the profile, and you can shortlist people with required skills. Then you can communicate with them, finalize them, and then you can invite that talent into your team. Similarly, you can have internal talent hub also, and So this is about people. Then this is about data exchange, external databases, internal databases. You can connect, you can add a database. And then you have these tools. So there are applications like QDeep NL application, Findability platforms, Predict Plus is another application. QDeep Vision is the third application, which is for video processing. Then there are AI starter kits, then there will be APIs, so that this is all algorithm and application section from which, I mean, one of them when the project you can use or multiple applications in a project you can use. So, like if you want to use QDeep region, you can click here and then you can launch application. Now, how it is configured, how it is architected is like whenever you want to use an application, you create the compute resource in the cloud. Now, in current state, it is AWS. So, in AWS, you create that compute resource, and then once that compute resource gets created, the operator comes into the picture. Operator will take the container of this QDeep Vision application, and that container gets deployed in the AWS provisioned, whatever the server you have provisioned in AWS. So once the provision gets completed, then operator starts deployment of QDeep Vision, and once that container gets deployed, then that instance of this application is ready for you. It takes around 7 to 10 minutes. That's the reason what I have done is I have already created instance view so that I can showcase you that. So this is the instance I created today. So I can click and then I can launch the application. Now this is a video processing for object detection. So here, this is by default, it has chosen traffic in Thailand video, which has been processed video now, and you can see in the video, you can see various objects like motorbikes, cars, buses, trucks, everything across each frame. And then the result for each frame is changing here. The analytics for each frame is changing here. The logs are here, which are time synchronized, timestamp synchronized, and then these are the this is the model where you can select the model when you, and this is the video which you can select. So if you see, there are around 14 pre-trained models like trucks, accessories, animals, appliances, electronics, food, furniture, indoor kitchen, like this. So current traffic in Thailand, for this video, the model traffic is being used. So you can select any other, like suppose I select furniture based interior design for small hall is the video. So this is the video I've selected. It took the model as furniture, selected that model because it is associated with that, and I will start the video for processing. So it is already processed. That's the reason it is not taking much of time. And then it will show you like various objects it is identifying within that. Right? Chair, sofa, bed, sofa, bed. The objects are being identified in the video, and across frames the relationship is maintained. Right. So let us upload one video and process it. It may take 1 or 2 minutes for processing, but let us do that. Suppose let us take traffic model and upload one video which is for traffic. This is a video traffic. So it did the processing, and now we can see. So maybe I can show you the video first. This is the video in which a lot of cars are running on the road. And now we will view it here. So now you can see all those cars, buses have been identified. The objects have been marked with the boundary, the labels, and the confidence level of the object detection, the classifier, whatever confidence level the classifier is providing, that is also mentioned there. So basically, what happens is for each frame, it does the segmentation, and then for each segment, then it identifies through classifier basically whether it is a car, whether it is a bus, whether it is truck, and then whatever is the confidence level or the probability percentage of that object being car or being bus, that is the confidence level, right? There is another model of electronics. This model can identify objects like cell phone, keyboard, laptop, mouse, remotes, TV, monitors, like that. We'll upload one video, devices. Cell phone is identified, mouse is identified, cell phone and mouse, these two objects got identified, right? So coming back to, okay, so the video getting processed through the platform and with the various trained models. Now if we want that your video contains something which is not already pre-trained model can process, identify, then the custom model can be built, and for that the training has to be done and the model has to be created. So next we can go into image processing case study. Now this image processing case study is very interesting. So here it is related to the processing of creatives or the creative designs which the creative artists create for advertising. Okay, so the platform is TouchUp. Okay, and this is a TouchUp AdScience platform, AI powered digital and print advertising analysis. Now whenever an artist is creating a creative design, a graphic design for advertisement, like you must be seeing advertisements, some graphics for Amul every week or every 15 days based on certain current event. In the context of that, it creates one graphic image, and that gets printed in print media, and it is also shown in the digital media on websites and all, right? So what is the objective of a creative design? So whenever a designer is designing a creative or a graphics for advertisement, even this is applicable for UI design. So what is the objective of a creative design? So there are mainly two things are the objective. One, what gets attention. That means when a graphics is created, one image is created, some creative is created, the objective, the goal is that the people should focus their attention to some part of that graphics through which the advertiser wants to communicate something to the people. So if it is a business ad, generally these are business ads like buy something or get something or buy my product is this, that. So what part of that you want to bring the attention of the observer? So that is the first objective, what gets attention. Second is how it connects with viewers emotionally. So what is the emotional connect of the viewer with that graphics, with that creative, right? So these are the two objectives because everybody understands that anybody who makes a decision to buy anything, maybe it's a science that even if you are buying uh, goods worth 10 rupees or whether you are buying goods worth 10 crore rupees or 10 lakh rupees or 100 crore rupees, whatever the decision you are making, finally that decision is made emotionally. So always every decision is an emotional decision because or rather the emotions are involved in that decision making. So connecting with viewers emotionally is very important for the success of any advertisement or any creative. So these are the two things. So how is it analyzed today? Now, when you have created some graphics, how do you understand whether whatever is your objective, whether it is met with this, whatever the way you have created the graphics? Excuse me. So, how do you understand that whatever was your objective, whether that objective is achieved or not? So, how it is done today? So, today, whenever a graphic is created, then it is getting analyzed using a technology called eye tracking technology. What is this eye tracking technology? Eye tracking technology has a device. Now this device is once the graphic design is done, that advertisement picture is created, then what happens is then few people are chosen and they are asked to view at the advertisement by wearing a device called as eye tracker. Now what this device does, okay, it is about the understanding the state and activity of the eye. So when you look at the graphics, look at the creative, what is happening to your eye, whether it is where it is moving, where is your point of gaze, where you have focused it, what is the duration of your stare, for what duration you are staring or focusing at which part of the advertisement, when you are blinking, how your pupils react to different visual stimuli, right? And also where you are not looking, what you are ignoring, what gets you distracted. So all these things are getting recorded through this device which works on infrared technology and which tracks your eyeballs and identifies what you are looking or how much time you are looking. All this is done by eye tracking. So what is done? Say 50 people are chosen and they are asked to view and then this eye tracking is recorded for 50. So then for that specific graphics, like this is advertisement for Reebok. So then what people are seeing? Most of the people are seeing this part which is red. So this is a heat map of those 50 people who have viewed it, right? And then they understand that this is the part. Pain is temporary, Reebok forever. This part is getting the maximum attention. Then this tattoo is getting maximum attention. So this way, this is the current technology. But this technology has certain drawbacks. What are the limitations or problems with eye tracking? The first is it does not understand pre-attentive phase, which is the main driver behind decision making. So it does not understand, rather it does not recognize that there is a pre-attentive phase whenever somebody is exposed to this ad. And second, it brings in bias because the people who are viewing, it is based on who are the people who are viewing this and who are the people who have participated in the experiment. It all depends on that. So what is this pre-attentive phase? Okay. So this pre-attentive phase or a pre-attentive processing is a subconscious accumulation of information from the environment. So you don't realize that you have seen that graphics, but some part of that graphic has been already registered with your mind. So because you don't realize, because your active mind has not recognized it, but your subconscious mind has already accumulated that information. So this eye tracking technology does not recognize this, and the most important part is missed in that, right? So the subconscious mind has a much stronger sense of awareness of our surroundings than our conscious mind. We don't realize, but humongous amount of data is getting gathered by our subconscious mind without passing through our conscious mind, and that is getting accumulated and that is getting stored in our brain. So according to the neuro linguistic programming model of communication, which is based on the research by many scientists, including Noam Chomsky, the renowned anthropologist and language expert from MIT, Massachusetts. So, this model tells that the subconscious mind is constantly at work, being a lot more aware of our surroundings than we realize. We receive over 2 million bits of data every second through our sensory organs, and if our conscious mind has to deal with that data, it will get overwhelmed. It will not be able to do anything. It will not be able to do any work because it will get overwhelmed because it doesn't have that capacity to handle that much data. So the subconscious mind, the midbrain which is connected with all the sensory organs, that receives this information, and every bit of information is not passed to the aware mind or the conscious mind. A part of it then puts the filters of belief, the filters of your experiences, the filters of your thoughts, your habits, all those are applied, and then the gist of it, the analytics of it, the MIs of it, that is then provided to the aware mind or conscious mind, right? So, and this the inputs which are received by subconscious mind, which are processed by the midbrain, and those are actually the main drivers behind decision making, right? So, in the eye tracking technology, the main drivers behind decision making are missed. That is the biggest problem with it. And second problem is related to bias, as it is based on the people who are participating in the experiment. Now these people could be from different race, gender, geographies, background, their educational background, family background, their beliefs, their habits, their faiths. It could be different, and based on that, then what will happen is their eye tracking will happen based on all these filters they are carrying. Obviously, whichever is the set of people who is using it or who participating in the experiment, those people, those that will bring in the bias of all those people in the output of this experiment. So that is another disadvantage of using this eye tracking technology, right? So introducing an AI tool that can process pre-attentive perceived emotions and post-attentive analysis for a digital and print advertisement, that is the TouchUp platform. Okay. Now here you don't need any devices, you don't need participation on any people. So the technology itself can provide you the information, right? So when you provide the image as input, it will do pre-attentive analysis and it will give you what people will subconsciously, what they will view and in which order they will view that with probability of that view. Let's suppose this is one creative, what is one graphics advertisement. Now in this advertisement, you can see the numbers are given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 and 2 is in red and 3, 4, 5 in yellow. And that is the pre-attentive journey or pre-attentive path. So the subconscious mind will see this graphics. In this sequence, first the attention will go to 1, then to 2, then to 3, 4 and 5. And you can see the area marked in white there. So this much area will be visible. This will be recognized or this will be recorded by subconscious mind. For 1, this much part will be recorded like this. But the objective of this ad is start job search. This is the call to action. Now every advertisement, there are 2 types of advertisement. One are kind of a brand advertisement, majorly 2 types. One is for creation of awareness of brand, creating brand image, bringing awareness of brand. There they don't talk about product, they don't talk about features of the product, they don't talk about discounts and offers and egg pay egg free, nothing. It is only about the brand, right? And those are the advertisements where generally there is no call to action. And another advertisements are related to products where there are generally call to action is there. Okay? Like the objective of that graphics is people should initiate certain action, start job search. So the one person who is viewing this ad, the designer has the objective behind designing this ad is that by seeing this, people should start searching the job. But in this journey, you are seeing that the start job search, this specific area is not getting identified or recognized in the pre-attentive phase, right? So with pre-attentive phase, whatever is identified or recognized by our subconscious mind, certain emotions are evoked in the mind of that viewer. And what are those emotions? Intention, type of processing, gender, level of arousal, goal, product type. So those related emotions and thoughts getting evoked in the mind just by the pre-attentive view of that or whatever subconscious mind has seen that part of the advertisement. Those kinds of emotions will get generated, right? And a kind of brand personality is perceived. This is all perception. This is all perception because this advertisement is all about perception, right? So what kind of a brand personality is perceived by the user? Okay, then this is identified by the platform. And what will happen for post-attentive analysis? Now, what is post-attentive analysis? If somebody intentionally focuses on the advertisement and sees, oh, let me see what is this advertisement, and then he tries to see that visual, then what is visible? So in post-attentive, start job search, which is your call to action, and apply now in 2 steps. This is also a call to action. These 2 are getting identified, or these 2 are the points where user will be viewing that when he is intentionally focusing on the ad, intentionally viewing that graphic. So this is the analysis that the system will provide using artificial intelligence. Okay. So it gets beyond the eye tracking and into the realms of pre-attentive phase where decisions happen. The decision making happens in the subconscious mind by the emotions evoked due to the whatever has been pursued by subconscious mind. So this technology, our touch-up technology, can identify that and provide the real inputs to the people who are designing. So what they do, they design something and they check whether whatever the objective, whether it will be met or not. If not, they will modify the design and again process and see whether this will be now, whether the attention of pre-attentive focus is going on to those areas which is the objective of this design, right? So the discovery of attention journey, whether the call to action is falling on that path or not, that can be processed and the design can be modified so that you can get better response, better connect by the viewers. Now this is an example, like this is one advertisement graphics, American Tourister, okay, like Virat is the model and he's saying buy an American Tourister bag for a chance to meet Virat and then hashtag swag pack, American Tourister, and the bags are there. Now here the call to action is swag pack, but if you analyze this, what is happening? If you see the journey at the top right here, the pre-attentive journey, if you see, the first attention is going to the brand American Tourister. Then it is going to Virat. Then it is going to this American Tourister chance to meet Virat. Then it is going here. Then it is going here. But it is missing the product. It is missing the call to action. Right? And these are the probabilities. Like this is 86% probability. So the brand is getting recognized, but the message of call to action is swag pack, that is not getting recognized in pre-attentive phase. Right. So this advertisement can be redesigned and then it can be designed in such a way that swag pack comes in the journey of your pre-attentive journey, path of pre-attentive journey. Right. So the objective answers to the most important questions, which are which designer wants to discover. What brand traits would viewers associate with us after seeing this ad? So after seeing this ad, what is the brand trait? What is the person associating? Because the advertisement, would this advertisement be of interest to target person? Because every advertisement is designed for a certain target viewers or certain what you can say group of specific target, a group of people, maybe young boys or young people, maybe female or male, or like a specific persona like office going executives. These are a typical target group for which a specific ad is designed. So whether that whatever the brand trait it is fitting, the people are perceiving with these graphics, whether it is inconsistent with the target persona to whom this advertisement is, we are targeting that those people should view this and that message should go. So the viewers generally associated such ads to our industry. What kind of emotion will this ad evoke? An emotional one or a rational one? So these are the questions which are to be discovered through this analytical processing of the graphics until the designer, the creative artist, till he is not getting satisfied with the answers, he should be modifying his design and analyzing it through the platform. So once this attentive mind views this graphics, views this creative, then certain emotions are perceived. So what kind of emotions are perceived? So those emotions can be recognized as, like, one can be called as a gender. So whether it is evoking masculine feelings or feminine feelings. It is nothing to do with whether the person is a male or a female. It is about the feelings within the person. He could be a male, but the feminine feelings could be evoked. She could be a lady, but a masculine feeling is evoked. So what kind of a emotion is getting evoked, masculine or feminine? That is a kind of a emotion that we can understand. This platform can process and tell you. Type of processing, whether the emotion is rational or emotional. Okay, like suppose there are numbers, figures, like if you save for 7 years, you will get this much kind of a return, something like that. That is a rational, right? 50% discount is a rational. Ek pe ek free is a rational. So numbers, figures, calculations, that is a rational. And that is, I mean, if it is not there, then it could be emotional, right? Then third is level of arousal. Whether by seeing at this, whether he feels relaxed or whether he feels excited, right? Whether the viewer feels relaxed or excited. That is a level of arousal. That is, that kind of emotion is evoked in the mind of the person. Then intention. Whether intention is perceived intention of the ad is liking or action. So, like generally, as I've told you, if it is a brand promotion or it is a brand awareness kind of advertisement, where they are not talking about any product, they are not talking about features, they are not talking about benefits of product and all. It's only about a brand, just to create awareness. So generally, those are kind of a liking kind of ads. That is the objective of that is liking. Intention is liking. And like last 2 days, hurry, those are kind of action where the intention is perceived intention. Objective is that the perceived intention of ad should be action, where people should be evoked to take some action or feel like taking some action. Whether they take action or not is a different thing, but whether they feel like taking action, that is the intention. It is all about feeling, it is all about emotions. It is not about actual actions. It is not about actually whether he is buying or not. What is the feeling? Then goal. What does the ad makes the viewer do? Like it or take an action, right? And how does viewer perceive the ad product if it is a product ad? So it is a use product for use or product for pleasure. So this is all kinds of emotions which are evoked in the minds perceived by the viewer, those getting identified by the technology by analyzing the graphics of the creative advertisement. Then what is this brand trait, perceived brand trait? What is it? Okay, so customers are more likely to purchase a brand if its personality matches with the person's personality. If they sync, if they feel in tune with each other, then that person may buy that product or may buy that brand. So the persona of the target group, what kind of persona is of that target group to whom you are targeting to sell product. So that persona and the perceived brand trait of the graphic design that you are doing, they should be in sync with each other. Then only that advertisement will resonate with the people from the target group persona, right? So what are these brand traits? One is excitement. So carefree, spirited and youthful. So that kind of a brand trait. So this brand is trait of this brand is excitement. Like it evokes carefree, spirited or youthful feelings when that when you look at the brand or when you see that brand. Sincerity, another trait. Kindness, thoughtfulness and an orientation towards family values. That is called as a trait of sincerity. Ruggedness, rough, tough, outdoorsy and athletic. That is the ruggedness. So the moment you see that brand, those kinds of emotions come to your mind. Competence, successful, accomplished and influential, highlighted by leadership. That is competence. And the last one is sophistication. Elegant, prestigious, and sometimes even pretentious. So these are the brand traits. Okay. So this graphic, what kind of a brand trait getting perceived by viewers, that is also analyzed by this technology. So let us see this demo of this structure. Right. Oh, right. So this is a computer vision, Findability Platform's computer vision touch-up, wherein I will log in. This gives me a dashboard. I can create a project. Name of the project is, say, demo 20 at me. Right. Now I add certain images to this project. Add creatives, browse files. Suppose I take these two images, L'Oreal images, and I process it. So now our platform has started processing the two images. Now while it is processing, I will show you those two images. Sorry. Now this is the image which they published on 12th of what is date, February 2020 on their Facebook page, and another image on 13th February. Largely it is the same image, but you can see there are differences. Like here, the 50% is in blue. This Valentine Day be part of this text is there. Minute sale is there, and at the bottom these e-commerce sites are there. But if you see on 13th, what they have done, this text is changed, this color is changed, February color is changed, this text is missing, and all other things are missing. Also, one more thing is the orientation of product is like this. Here the orientation of the product is changed. So the image is largely same, but the organization is changed little bit, and then so now the platform has processed it. Now this first image, if you see, right? So now it is showing you the attention order. So attention is going first here, then to here, then to here, here and here. It is not going to 50% off, right? 50% off is the main thing, but it is not going there. It is going to here, the e-commerce size, right? But not to 50% off. Okay. And the probabilities associated with that, right? So 68% probability here, 63 here, 59, 42 and 42. Okay. But the main call to action is here. This call to action is missing. Okay. And the emotions which are perceived, like feminine 74 percentile or percent type of product, pleasure 65%, level of arousal relaxed 61%, intention of liking is 61%, whereas intended was action. Okay. Type of processing rational 61%, and goal is gain. Now goal is what? Whether that product, by buying that, will you gain something or will you prevent something? So by using this oil, you will save on your heart health. It's like prevention. By joining this gym, you will prevent, you will improve health and prevent heart attack and all. That is prevention. But by investing into this mutual fund, your investment will be doubled in 5 years. That is a gain. So whether a gain type of emotion is evoked or a prevention type of emotion is evoked, right? And then the brand traits that we discussed just now: sincerity, competence, excitement, recognize others. So what kind of a brand trait is getting identified with this? Like sincerity, 51% sincerity with 15% score is getting identified with brand trait. with 28% competence like this. So for one graphics, this was the analysis. Now the second graphic, this was published on 12th, this was published on 13th. With changed graphics. Changed graphics, what is happening now? Now if you see what is happening, the pre-attentive journey, if you see now, the first focus, the pre-attentive focus is going to this call to action, 50% off, right? Then it is going to point 2, then it is going to point 3 to product, then here, and then again to product. So the call to action, that is part of your pre-attentive journey. So this is what the designer always intends. So this they are achieved by making some changes. Okay, and the probability is also, it is 86% probability, high probability compared to the other one, right? And similar kind of emotions are there. Feminine 83%. Now it will be different than the first image. Level of arousal 74, type of product. Pleasure 69%, liking is 74%, rational is 74%, aim is 74%, and the sincerity level has improved now, 53.81. Okay, so just by making certain changes, what has happened is, right. So this L'Oreal use case, you can see comparison. These are the Facebook ads, right? They have published this ads. This ad was published on 12th of February. It got only 52 likes, 7 comments and 10 shares. On 13th February, modifications are done. The proportion are changed. The text is changed. The color of 50% is changed. The orientation of the product is changed, right? And on 13th February, this is published on the Facebook, and you can see how many are the likes. 9,100 likes. 52 likes, 9,100 likes. 7 comments, 33 comments. 10 shares, 51 shares. Now this is the difference between the engagement by the viewer. Now with the second graphics, where the modifications are done, more viewers are engaged with this graphics, more it is like connecting with more people are liking it, more people are, it is evoking action into more people compared to the first graph. Okay, so you can see the comparison. Okay, so these are the original ads, 12th February, 13th February, right? 12th February, this is the order. 13th February, this is the order where call to action is getting part of the journey. Okay, here call to action is missing, and maximum it is focusing here, and with highest probability of 68. Here the highest probability the call to action is 86%. So definitely it is evoking more emotions of taking action by this advertisement, right? So this is pre-attention order and probability for 12th February ad. This is for 13th February ad, right? And these are the various emotions it evoked and the brand rates for ad published on 12th, ad published on 13th. So what I mean, by changing the graphics, the connect with people changes, the emotions which are evoked in the minds of the viewer are changed, and how it, I mean, when it is processed through the platform, how it relates with the reality and how it can show, and we can understand why the first ad got only 52 likes and the second ad advertisement got 9,100, right? Second use case we can see, this is Axis Mutual Fund. Okay, so these are the two ads. One ad is published on 24th February, another is published on 27th March. So this got 78,000 likes, and this got only 13 likes, right? This also you can process through platform. Okay, like suppose we will add those two creatives to this. Raj. Okay, and process. Now these two graphics, these two creatives are getting processed. Now this technology is also based on deep learning. It is also using deep learning, and there are at least around 40 models, 40 models into this technology. Different 40 models are getting processed with this ad, each ad, and it is giving you different aspects of the graphics, the emotions evoked, the brand trade, the pre-attentive focus, what is the journey, what are the probabilities, what is the area which is getting identified by the people. Like this process is completed. Let us see if this is visible. Right. Here you can see the call to action. This is the pre-attentive journey. First focus is going to the brand, and second is going to I start investing to save. This is a call to action, right? And then fifth is tax. What is that? Tax related hashtag. So that is also call to action. So the call to actions are getting identified in the pre-attentive journey. So definitely this is going to connect more, and this is going to emotionally going to connect more with the people. Right? So brand is getting 78%, and this call to action is getting 75%. So this is the area which will be visible. All other thing which is not visible is darkened. So this much part people will see. Tax fever. I start investing to save tax. Those are call to action and the brand logo. Right? And let us see now here. Second image, if you see the pre-attentive journey. So the first is going here, which is meaningless. Second here, which is also meaningless. Third is going to the brand. Fourth is going here, and fifth is going here. So almost it is meaningless, not connecting with the people, even though a lot of information is provided there. People are not viewing it, okay, very attentively, and these are the probabilities. Probabilities are also low. The brand is associated with 49%. So obviously, call to action is not there. It is not connecting with the significant part of the graphics. So obviously, people are not getting connected with it, and it is not evoking action in the minds of people. That's the reason. That's the reason it has got less kind of likes. Okay, so 78,013 you can see. You just imagine. Okay, 24th Feb and 27th March. Correct. We have seen that the call to action is falling within the pre-attentive journey. Here it is not falling within the pre-attentive journey. And even if it is this part is falling, you may call this as call to attention, call to action, but the probability is very low. It is just 31%. Right. So that's the reason this advertisement is getting connected with more people, and this advertisement is not getting connected with people. That's the reason there is a huge difference between the response or the like it has received. Okay. So these are the emotions evoked by the two graphics, right? So what is the value of this for the people? So engagement by analyzing image and selecting the image which connects more with the people, which has been identified by the technology. Then that particular image, when it is used in the advertisement, the engagement improves almost by 100%. So more people get engaged with that advertisement, and the objective of that advertisement is fulfilled. Then A/B cycle time gets reduced by 70%. Now, what is this A/B cycle time? So when different ads are created, they are put to A/B cycle testing to identify which ad they should use, so that which ad gets more engaged through the actual experimentation of A/B cycle testing. Then that it takes a lot of time. So instead of that, that can be eliminated, and this technology can process and give you which ad should evoke more connection, more action, and more desired brand rate. So without doing A/B testing, you should be able to understand that and use that graphics or use that creative for the objective that you want to achieve. So it gives improved brand lift for the people, brand recognition, engagement. Sorry. Then zero hardware investment, because you don't have to buy those eye tracking technology devices, and you don't have to invest into the people, and you don't have to incur the cost of performing those experiments. So all that is saved because of the technology, right? So these two use cases using the platform, one for video processing and one for audio processing, and two different areas, one totally different area of advertisement, and another a generic application which can be used as a part of any other application and can be integrated into production workflow, so that object recognition through the video can happen and that work can be done. So thanks a lot. This is all from my side. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
That was a very informative session.
Thank you,
The
sir.
two cases that you provided, there are a few questions. Just
Yes.
a minute, I will. Yeah. One of the question is from Dr. R.H. Chiletu. Why does only certain information proceeds from pre-attentive to attentive processing while other information does not?
So what happens is huge amount of data is received by the subconscious mind through the sensory organs every second. Now all this is coming to the midbrain. It is not coming to your aware conscious mind or thinking brain. Then the mechanism of brain is such that every information does not come to your conscious mind. Only this is processed, and a gist of it, a very small amount of information comes to your conscious mind. So that is the brain mechanism. That is the NLP communication model, okay, of the brain. So the filters which are applied are based on your faith, your belief, your habits, your values. Those are the filters. Based on that, that huge amount of information is processed and filtered, and small MIS of that is created, and it is given to the aware brain or a conscious brain. That is the mechanism of brain. That's the reason it happens.
Okay, thank you. The second question is by Namrata Mahinder. Sir, for chair there are so many shapes and styles. For every model, training is to be done, or it can learn from patterns combined to identify a untrained new style model.
Okay. So it all depends on how you have done your feature engineering. So what kind of a features you are extracting from the segmented image part. So what you have done on that, it will depend on that. So if your feature, basically what is AI? Like it is a generalization of information. So what your model is doing, it is generalizing that information. So if your features are sufficient enough to generalize that information, then even a new form of a chair may get identified. But there is a possibility that a new form which is totally different, it may not get identified as chair. Both are possible. It all depends on your what kind of a features you are identified or derived, and what kind of a training you have done.
Okay. Then the next question is which tool or platform you are using for object recognition from still image or video?
So it is a deep learning based technology, which is a proprietary technology which we have developed.
Okay. Ms. Sheetal Pawar, how these values are quantified because individual responses will be quite different.
Which values it is talking about? Emotion.
The details are not given. Probably emotions. How these are quantified because individual
Okay.
response for emotions will be different.
Right. So now what is this quantities? So, so you can assume this as a classification problem. Okay. Now you are classifying, you are doing a binary classification. You assume that. So what happens
Yeah.
when you are doing a binary classification? A confidence level or a probability value is associated with that classification. So it is something like that. It is a number which is getting associated with what confidence level or with what probability the model is identifying that emotion with the pattern.
Ms. Leena want to ask which softwares can be used to analyze videos.
Which softwares? I'm sorry.
Findability platform is
Findability
sufficient
platform is
for
one that you can use, but others, I'm sorry, I don't know much.
Next is from Kunal. Can AI be applied to 5G?
Sorry, I
Some
don't understand.
irrelevant question related. 5G. Can AI be applied to 5G?
5G communication technology,
Yeah.
but I've not understood the question.
Kunal Khandelwar. Okay. We'll take more details from him and we'll email you. Then Mr. Abhijit, can you classify customers as per ad? Are you classifying the customers as per the advertise?
Not understood the question. Viewer, you mean he means viewer or customer?
Yeah, viewer. Customer and viewers as per ad. Or it may be the next stage.
Okay,
Viewer, then it may be a probable customer.
okay. Now here the focus is not the viewer. We are not analyzing viewer. We are analyzing the graphics and what kind of emotion this may evoke. That is the analysis. So we are not going to end user or individual customer.
Then Vaibhav, can we do the customer lifetime value predictions by findability platform?
Yes, I mean if you can build the model, if you can identify what can be the data for that, then definitely we can create that model.
Priyanka want to ask, can SVM classifier used in video processing in artificial intelligence?
Yes, people can use it.
Yeah. Any type of classifier can be utilized for
Yes.
processing.
Yes.
Will AI be harmful for personal privacy?
It depends, right? Like if you are providing your individual information which is being used, then again it is a perception whether it is harmful or not. But if the information is made available by you, then only it will be used by somebody. So if you don't provide the information, it may not be used. If you are you are giving a permission, right? When you are signing Facebook, when you are signing Twitter, you are giving them a permission to use your information. With your permission, people are using it. It may be harmful, it may not be harmful. That is the perception.
That's what we have. We have some few questions, but we will email it to you. I think it was a very nice information, actual implementation of the AI platform. I will request Mohit ma'am to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to be with you.
Mohit ma'am. Voice is not available. Video is available, Mohit ma'am. Yeah, Mohit ma'am. Audio is not available.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Okay, there might be some issue associated with the microphone. I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Suresh Chakrabarty for providing a very nice information. We would like to have an interaction, more interaction with the students from our institute who are already working in this AI platform. At the same time, our department also wants to collaborate with the industry like Mindability Science for more practical cases, more practical implementations in specifically video and image processing. Thank you very much, Doctor. We call Mr. Suresh Chakrabarty Doctor. All the friends, close friends call him Doctor due to his enthusiasm related to the technology. Thank you, Suresh.
Thank you. Thanks, Anil. Thanks a lot. And will be always happy to be associated with your institute. So we can work together. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's very nice of you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
The next session will be at 4 o'clock.
So thank you. And
Yes.
I quit the meeting. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch. There will be a break of 30 minutes. Professor Kokre will be joining at around 3:55. We'll start our session at that time. Thank you very much for your patience.